What's up, Wealthbuilders? Ryan Pineda here, back at you with another masterclass. Today, we are talking time management. I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips that I have learned over the years to become as efficient and productive as humanly possible. This is what's allowed me to scale multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses while having 3 kids, a wife, trying to stay in shape, enjoy my life, have fun, play golf, and do all the other things that life has. So let's hop into it. Tip number 1 is what I call the 3-hour rule. And that is, I believe the first 3 hours of every day should be spent on you. Now, what exactly does this mean in practice? Well, I see there are kind of 2 types of extreme people in the world, okay? Let's talk about the extremely, I don't want to say lazy person, but the person who just wakes up literally at the last second. They hit snooze on their alarm, they do all that stuff, and then they're immediately just off to their job or off to work or whatever the case is. They get there right on time or, a few minutes late every single weekday. And, that's the type of person they are. That person is living what I would define as a reactionary lifestyle. They're not being proactive at all with, the life they want to create for themselves. They are living reactionally. I mean, think about it. If you got to be at work at, say, 9 o'clock, all right? And you wake up at 8:30 every day. You don't have time to do anything. You're just putting your clothes on, you're hopping in the car, and you're getting to your job, and you haven't thought about anything. You haven't prayed. You haven't done anything for yourself. You're literally just going to work at 9 now. And you're going to go spend the next 9 hours at your job doing your thing. And, it just is what it is. You're just kind of reacting to each and every storm. That's one extreme. The other extreme is, the person who just kind of doesn't do anything, right? Like they wake up, they don't get to work. They just kind of waste time. They just dilly-dally around, I would say. They just, watch entertainment, watch the news, they just kind of waste their morning. And I mean, that person's not really super productive either, okay? For me, I like to take the first 3 hours of my day and make it productive for me. So here's what it looks like for me. I wake up at 5:30 almost every single day, and I spend the first hour of the day alone with God. And so for me, that's praying, that's reading my Bible, that's memorizing scripture, that's journaling. I'm doing all that. So from 5:30 to 6:30, that's what I do. Now I'll brush my teeth and stuff in between there, so I guess it's not exactly an hour, but you get the point. The first hour, I'm just getting up, and then I'm spending time with God because for me, I mean, that's working on me. That's working on my relationship with God, and that's just the most important thing to me in my life. And so I want to just do it right out the gate because I know that's going to set me up for the rest of the day to have success. Now, after that, I'm thankful. I'm lucky. I have a gym downstairs at my house, and so I can go walk straight to the gym. But, I've been doing this kind of routine for years, even when I didn't have a home gym. I'd hop in my car right after that, head over to the gym, and I'd spend an hour in the gym. So for me, from about 6:30 to 7:30, sometimes, if I do cardio and everything else, it'll be until 8 in the morning. I'm just going to be working out. I'm working on my body, and that's what I do. From there, I then shower, get ready. If I can, I'll hit a couple of golf balls and, practice on my golf game because that's also important to me. And, then I head off for the day and get to work at around 9 o'clock. So for me, I've spent the first 3 hours of the day just working on me. I'm working on my health. I'm working on my faith. I'm working on, just getting in the right mindset for all the things I got to do the rest of the day at work. Now, some people might say that that's extreme. And, some people say, well, you got to just do all this morning routine stuff. And it's like, well, all these things have to happen at some point anyways, right? I mean, everybody has to work out. If you're not working out and you're not taking care of your body, well, you got bigger problems. You're not going to live very long. Your energy probably sucks and you're going to be out of shape. So you got to work out at some point. I'm an advocate of just doing it in the morning. I think you build up your endorphins. You don't got to worry about it later. I'm a huge proponent of just getting it done in the morning. For me, like I said, faith is super important to me. Some people don't use faith at all. They don't practice faith at all. They don't spend any time with God. And, to each their own. But, if you're a Christian or you're someone like me where you're saying, hey, I'm going to do that anyway every single day, why not do it in the morning? Why not just knock it out first thing so that you get all the benefits the rest of the day to, go out and live that out? There's a Bible verse that talks about Jesus waking up really early in the morning so that he could go spend time with God in prayer. So if Jesus decided that it was important to wake up, before the sun came up, and go spend time alone, then it's probably important for me too. And so the 3-hour rule is just simply make the first 3 hours of the day solely about your own personal development. Because guess what? The moment you get to work, the moment, you got all these things going on in your life, your family, your kids, your business, every problem's going to come your way throughout the day. So you might as well just make sure that you're ready to go handle that by just taking care of yourself first, right? So that's the 3-hour rule in a nutshell. Tip number 2, make sure you understand long-term versus short-term activities. So I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of money. Basically, everything you do in business is either for a short-term gain or a long-term gain, right? Flipping houses would be a short-term gain for me. Buying a rental property would be a long-term gain for me. But it goes much deeper than that. Every single thing that I do, I just got to understand, am I doing this because it's going to provide me, active income today, or am I doing this because it's going to pay dividends far down the road? So I would say creating a podcast like this is a long-term play, right? I mean, there will be people that end up becoming customers because they watch this episode or other episodes I've made over the years, but there's no true direct correlation that, hey, if I make this video right now, it's going to make me this much money. That doesn't necessarily happen. Now, that does happen if I were to go hop on a bunch of sales calls today, right? If somebody filled up my calendar and I got on 12 sales calls today and I'm selling all types of things. Maybe I'm negotiating real estate deals. Maybe I'm selling, a client for Lead Kitchen and our services. Maybe I'm selling a student, whatever the case is. That is a short-term play. I'm going to go sell them right now. It's going to pay off in most cases one time. And, the deal will be done, right? And that puts money in our bank, today or, in the very near future, right? If I do a flip, I'm not going to make the money today, obviously, but, a month from now or a few months from now, I'm going to go make the money when that deal is done. So you just got to understand, where do you fit in right now with your life? Because if you are struggling for money, then you shouldn't really think about the long term. I mean, as much as we all want to plan for the long term, thinking about the long term is kind of dumb when you need money today, right? And vice versa. If you're always just thinking about the short-term money and you're never building for the long term, and your needs are currently taken care of, you got to start sacrificing some short term in order to build something bigger in the long term. So to give you a practical example of this, right? Before I ever got on social media, I didn't have any YouTube subscribers, any of that stuff. I was mainly just flipping houses, and we were making millions of dollars flipping houses. And I was going on seller appointments, and I knew that when I went on seller appointments, it was a very valuable use of my time because guess what? I go get an appointment, I lock a deal up, it can make $30,000. There's not many things I could do in my life that make me $30,000. So going on appointments was a really good use of my time. But I decided that, hey, you know what? I think this social media thing is going to be really powerful in the future. I think I should start spending more time making YouTubes and TikToks and Instagram and, building my brand and all that stuff. And so for me, in order to do that, I had to start going on less seller appointments and start instead focusing on, making content, which at the time took a long time. It takes me way less time today because, I've mastered the skill. But when I was first starting, I had to spend time learning, researching, scripting, looking at edits, thinking of titles and thumbnails and all these things that are required, for a video and a brand to grow the right way. And so I had to spend a lot of time thinking about that stuff. And, videos took me, it was a full, let's say 30-hour a week, deal where I was just fully focused on trying to go build my brand, which by the way, in those early stages for the first bunch of months was making me $0. There was no ad revenue. I wasn't this big guy yet. I was getting a few thousand views. It wasn't direct correlated back into my business. So I was sacrificing the short term, money I could have been making by going on appointments and trying to go lock up deals, and instead trying to focus my time and energy on the long term because I had short-term money coming in and I was fine. I had built up a nest egg, and I said, you know what? If I can train somebody else to do my job and start going on these appointments and closing for me, then eventually I can get the best of both worlds. And so that's exactly what happened. It's not like I shut down my house flipping business. I instead just put somebody else in my place. And yes, in the early stages, there was a big financial hit because, he wasn't as good as me. And I went over here to do something that wasn't making any money. So now we're double not making money and we're still spending money on marketing and everything else. So it's not easy to kind of like make that transition of doing less short-term and more long-term, but eventually if you want to grow, you have to do it at some point. And so that's exactly what I chose to do. And, you know, in the end, this is kind of what happens with businesses and life, okay? You know, growth kind of happens like this. You know, you're growing, and then you plateau, right? And when you plateau, you have a choice. You can try to do something different, which will get you through the plateau, or you just kind of stay there. And so I had plateaued in my real estate business, and I said, all right, well, do I just keep going on appointments and just stay steady, or do I try something new to break through? Well, what usually happens when you plateau and you decide to do something new is you have a dip, right? Because you have a dip trying the new thing, you make less money, you spend more, you're trying to go through this learning curve, and then eventually, if you're lucky, you figure it out, and then that leads you to the next stage of growth. And that's exactly what happened for me. It took about 90 to 180 days to finally recover from the dip, but by the time I got out of it, it was like night and day. I was like, wow, that was a smart decision. And then, you know, it led to years of prosperity because of the decision I had made. And my house flipping business, you know, eventually even grew as well because of building my personal brand, because those people got better without me too. So anyways, the moral of this time management tip is that you need to understand what stage you're in. Are you just solely going to focus on short-term things, which, by the way, is good when you're at that level? Like when you have to make money, you don't have reserves, you're building, like focus on short-term things. But at some point, you should start spending some of your time on long-term things. And it doesn't have to be all of your time. You know, maybe you're 100% focused on short-term activities, and then maybe you say, hey, I'm gonna spend 20% of my time on long-term activities. And then maybe that starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, you know, eventually you find whatever that sweet spot is for you. Tip number 3 is that you always need to question what is the best use of your time. So for me, I'm just always thinking about this. I'm like, all right, this is what I do today, but is this the best use of my time? You know, many of you have probably heard of the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle, where it's like, you know, 20% of the things you do get you 80% of the results. And I found that to be true in life. But here's the thing. I found that it's always changing as my life and as my business changes. So to go back to the previous example, I found that me going on seller appointments was the best use of my time. Now, the best use of my time was not in following up with leads or cold calling people or doing any of that. It was strictly just trying to go on as many appointments as I could. That's what made the money. When I made this transition to going on social media, I realized that, man, I got to spend a lot of my time on making content. That's the best use of my time. Nobody else can do it. And so, you know, I did that for years. And then, you know, I started to realize that the best use of my time would always change in different seasons of life and business. So if you were to ask me today, Ryan, what's the best use of your time? You know, there's a couple of things that I know are the best use of my time. So like number one, it is in building out our marketing funnels. I spend so much time now in just building out different marketing funnels that we have. You know, we have a funnel that is a $3 thing. Okay. You know, you could go to wealthyuniversity.com right now and go get a free, or it's not free, it's $3, right? But basically free. You can go get a trial of Wealthy University for $3, and then you get all this free stuff, you know, on top of it for just $3. And, you know, there's all these things within the funnel. You know, if you buy, then this happens, then that happens, then this happens. And, you know, there's all this stuff that happens. And, you know, we've made it very profitable now, and now I'm scaling it. It's just this one funnel that I'm just really hyper focused on, you know, on that business. And then, you know, I've been working on our marketing funnels for Home Run Offer, my house flipping company. You know, I started out making Facebook ads over there and focusing on every little detail of the ads. Like, what did I say? What was the best return? What was the best, you know, performer? What got the highest click-through rate? And then, you know, we started I started Lead Kitchen, a new business, and we started using those ads all across the country for our clients. And so they started getting leads. And so I got more data. And so now I'm like, right now, this marketing nerd, nerding out on just these different funnels and all this data that we now have across, you know, running hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on just ad spend for these different things for us and for clients. And so that is the best use of my time right now, because if I can influence the output on those, it's going to get me the highest return, right? Like, think about this. If I could double my conversions on a landing page, not only will that help my business double, but it will help our client's business double as well. And so what happens if my business doubles and their business doubles? Well, all of a sudden now, like, you're going to get a quadruple effect, because they're going to tell their friends and everything else. And then we're going to get more people in, and then this is going to happen, and I'll get more investors, and all that will happen. So it's like, I try to think about what is the one thing I need to focus on at this point in time in my life, and just go all in on becoming really good at that one thing. And that just happens to be, for me right now, the last, call it 9 months, the marketing side of things, the funnels, the boring media buying, all that stuff. And that's what it's been for the last 9 months. But that's not what it's always been. Like I said, before it was social media. Before that, it was going on seller appointments. Before that, it was finding deals off the MLS. Like, before that, it was flipping couches. But what was the best use of my time has always changed over the years. And so I'm constantly questioning that. And there will come a point where, I don't know when it'll be, but it'll be like, hey, Ryan, you don't need to spend all this time on the funnels anymore. The team's got it figured out. You're good. You have this new opportunity now that's a better use of your time. And, we'll see. But for now, I know exactly what is the best use of my time and what I need to be focused on. So always think about that question, okay? Number 4, become great at delegating. I mean, this is the only way to become great at time management. You got to buy back your time. You got to hire more people. You've got to get good at recruiting. You got to get good at delegating. And there's no simple fix for it, but I think the first step is just simply accepting that you're not going to do everything on your own. And there's so many great books out there on this concept. My friend Dan Martell, who's been on the show a couple of times, who's spoken at WealthCon a few times, he's got a book called Buy Back Your Time. Amazing book. Dan Sullivan's got a book called Who Not How. Another amazing book. And, the core premise of these books is that, if you want to accomplish great things, you got to help, or you got to bring other people into the fold. And I think that for me, that's been one of my superpowers, is being a pretty good recruiter and building a company and culture that attracts the right kind of people that, are really bought in. Because if they weren't, then we wouldn't be able to get all the things we're able to get done. We're able to produce so much content and business and ideas and pages and events and all these things, not because I'm so good, because I put in so many hours of work, because I don't, right? It's because I have great people around me who we've attracted who do. And so you got to just get good at delegating. There's just no other way around it. If you're only focused on you and your skill set, well, I would say increase your skill set at learning to recruit and hire and manage. That's the next skill you need to learn. So that's number 4. Number 5, build your schedule based upon your goals, not based upon what currently exists. So I think a lot of people, they say, Ryan, I don't have enough time. What they're saying is, in my current schedule, I don't have enough time to add this new thing I want to do. I don't have enough time to film content for social media. I don't have enough time to, go out there and call sellers and go on appointments and build my real estate business. That's what they're saying. And what I'm saying is, well, build your schedule based upon your goals, not what's currently here. So this is going back to the very first thing I said about the 3-hour rule, in that we want to be proactive with what we do. We want to create the life we want to create, not be reactive to what's currently existing. So let's just take, for example, pretend like your schedule did not exist, right? And say, hey, these are my goals. I want to have a better marriage. I want to be more present with my kids. I want to have, better health. I want to have better faith. I want to have a better business. You're saying these things, right? And then say, all right, well, what do I need to do every day for that? All those things to happen. It's not easy. Nobody said that it's easy, but what would need to be possible for those things to happen? In order to be great at all those things, they require time. I mean, that's what it comes down to, guys. It requires time to be great. And so for me, I just reverse engineer it. And I already told you the 3-hour rule. So it's for me, the first 3 hours of the day, if you follow that piece of advice, you could knock out your faith, you could knock out your health, your personal development and everything else just by following the 3-hour rule. So then the next step is, okay, work. Well, great. How long do you want to work every day? I mean, for me, I'm good at 8 hours. That's what I want, 9 to 5. I do not want to work 12-hour days. That's just not me. Some people want to. That's totally fine. Usually those people are not married and don't have kids. And if they are working 12-hour days and they are married and they do have kids, well, then clearly they're just not seeing them that much. And that is what it is. And, you might be, I don't want to say making the excuse, but using the justification to say, well, that's what I have to do right now. And maybe you do, right? But what is the goal, right? Because if the goal is you want to be a better husband and a better father and a better dad, then you just have to spend more time with your kids. There's no other way around it. And so where's it going to come from, right? We're all limited on the 24 hours we got. So we're going to have to figure out, well, okay, where am I going to take time from? And reality is work is the thing that we spend, for the majority of us, the most time on. Myself included, by the way. I'm not immune to this. I spend more time at work than I do with my family if you actually count the hours. And, they're okay with that and I'm okay with that because we got to do what we got to do. But I'm constantly thinking about, man, how can I get more hours with my family? How can I get more hours with God? How could I get more hours, on my health and, playing golf and doing things that I enjoy in life? Well, usually it's going to come from figuring out how to work less. That's usually what's going to happen. And that becomes figuring out how to build a business around the lifestyle you want. So they call them lifestyle businesses. That's why I'm a huge advocate for becoming an entrepreneur, so that you can build everything else around what you want. It's not about making more money. That's a piece of just getting the rest of the pie. You need to make more money so that you can go have the other things you want in life, not just for the sake of having more money. Okay. So, for me, just build your schedule based upon the goals that you want. My goal is I don't want to work on the weekends. I want to just spend time with my family and hang out at home and, chill with them. So I need to figure out how I can work to make that happen, how I can build a business to make that happen, how I can hire enough people, how I can build a good enough product, a good enough funnel. It's not easy. Nobody's saying it's easy, but it is possible. And it's only possible if you actually reverse engineer it from the get-go and you free up your mind to quit second guessing what you think is possible. I could never do that because of this, this, and this. Yes, you can. You can do it. Okay. Lots of dumb people have accomplished really big things. I've seen it firsthand. So if these type of people can accomplish it, you can accomplish it too. All right. Rant over. All right. 6. Okay. This is number 6. We're halfway there. If it's possible, knock out your obligations first. So for me, I try to knock out everything at the beginning of the week that's like an obligation, some of which are things I just don't want to do. So you could replace it with an obligation or something you don't want to do. All right. So every Monday, I have my company meetings. We have our overall company meeting, then I go into a marketing meeting, then I go into sales meetings, then I go into my content meeting. And let me tell you, I freaking hate these meetings. They take like 2 to 3 hours total every Monday. And it's probably the worst thing of my week. But guess what? It's necessary. It's an obligation. It is required for us to succeed and get to where we want. And I didn't used to always do this. I never actually would do meetings, and we got pretty far not doing that. But I understand that for us to get to the next level and in this current situation, I have to do that. And it's fine. But I want to do it right at the beginning of the week. I just want to knock it out and be done with it. So I don't have to procrastinate and think about it the rest of the week. Dang, dude, tomorrow I got to do all those stupid meetings. And, this sucks. So I just get all that done on Monday. Same thing. I used to do all my content on Monday. I don't do that anymore. But for a period of time, I would film 3 YouTube videos every single Monday and just batch out all my content. That's because I just wanted to be done with it so I could use the rest of the week to do what I wanted, right? Tuesdays, I have all my coaching calls, Now, I like doing my coaching calls. These are what I would call obligations. I have to do them. This is just what we do. I've been holding a Tuesday coaching call for my all-star students since 2020. That has never changed. We're going on year 5, which is crazy to think about. But every Tuesday, I've been doing this call at 1 o'clock. And now I have another call at 11:30 for our wealthy youth students every Tuesday as well. So every Tuesday are my coaching calls. I just want to knock those out and just know that Tuesday is set in stone. And then, basically Wednesday through Friday, I have nothing. I have no obligations at all. And it doesn't mean I don't work. It's just the rest are all what I would consider fun. They're meetings, they're podcasts, they're, things that pop up. I can do a workshop or something else. I could go play golf. Like, I like having the freedom in my schedule. So I want to knock out all my obligations and then have freedom to do the rest, whatever else I want to do that week, right? And by the way, the team could put, I still will do sales calls right now. So like team will put sales calls on there, investment calls, and I'll take those. But I'm only able to because I have a free schedule on Wednesday through Friday. So try and knock out your obligations. Okay, tip number 7. Okay, understand your type. Are you a flexible person or are you a planner? So for me, I'm ultra flexible if you can't tell, right? Like Wednesday to Friday, I want nothing on my schedule. I just want the freedom to do what I think is the highest and best use of my time. Some of you guys are planners. You're like, bro, I look at your calendar and I'll get anxiety because it's just meeting, thing. You document when you eat lunch. You're that type of person, okay? Like, I eat lunch around the same time, but I don't need to put it in my calendar. Some of you guys are like that, and I look down on you, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I don't look down on you, but I just don't live like that. I live very flexible. My wife is the same way, thankfully, because if she was a planner and I was this flexible person, oh, man. I don't know, put in the comments if you live in a marriage where you both are totally different in that way. But thankfully, we're both flexible. Like, we will literally look at each other and be like, you guys, should we go on vacation next week? And then we'll be like, yeah, and we do it. And anytime we try to plan something out, if it's months in advance, we both are like, yeah, who knows what we're going to be doing months from now? Let's not worry about it. We'll plan it, the day before it happens. That's like how we like to live. So just know who you are. That's it. Just be aware of it. Because if you're not, and you try to be like, oh, well, I heard this person said I need to detail every little thing in my life. It's like, well, that may not be you. There's lots of ways to be successful. There's planners who are very successful. There's flexible people who are. So just understand your type. Okay, number 8, spend time thinking. I mean, this sounds dumb, but I can't tell you how many people don't actually have any quiet time to think at all. Every part of your life is consumption. All right, I'm at work. I'm doing something. I'm being productive. Okay. Now I get home, I'm reading a book, I'm watching Netflix, I'm on social media, okay, I'm talking to this person. Like, you're always consuming, and you never have enough time to think and process everything you have consumed. And so I want you to get away from that. I want you to start thinking more, like literally nothing around you. Just go get a journal and start thinking about your life, about your ideas. I have this journal that I've had literally for years. And I do it once a month. I try. It's called Think Time. I got it from a book called The Road Less Stupid. It's a great book. And basically you just write down, these different questions that you have with your life and your business and everything else. And you start writing answers to them. And it just starts helping you get that creative process. The reason I'm able to create so many videos or ideas or offers or businesses, because I'm always thinking. If I was just always consuming everyone else's stuff, it'd be impossible to actually free flow and be creative myself. So take some time to think. Schedule that. I'm okay with you scheduling. Schedule an hour a week to just sit there and think. Or maybe you're not good for an hour. Maybe it's 15-minute increments. Like, hey, 15 minutes every day. It's my quiet time. I just want to get away from everything. Some might call this meditation, but it's just where I get to sit down and think. By the way, I'm going to go into this one here in a minute, but one of the times I like to think a lot is during a massage. So I like to get a massage a couple of times a month, and like literally I can't do anything. I have no phone. There's nothing going on. So like I think for a full hour straight during a massage. It's great. So that's a little hack if you want to be multi-productive. All right. And that's going to lead me to step number 9, which is multitask when possible. So I just gave you an example on accident. That wasn't even in my notes. Of, massage time and think time. Like, you could do them all together, right? But another one that I do is like, at the gym, when I'm working out in the morning, I got my TV. That's when I actually sit there and I watch YouTube and I learn, or I sit there and I get entertained. Like, I'll watch golf and, other stuff. So, I think that if you can multitask, like working out while learning, listening to podcasts like this, a bunch of you guys are probably doing that right this moment. I think that's amazing. Multitask when you can. I like to obviously listen to worship music when I'm driving. That gets me feeling really good before I'm going to wherever I'm going. Another one is I like to golf with my wife. I like to golf with friends. Like that's where, I get to have my physical activity and, my competitiveness, but I also get to have great relationship time with whoever it is I'm golfing with. So, I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm building relationship, but I'm also feeding my physical activity. So anytime you can get multitask benefit, I think that's amazing because now you're just getting double benefit for the same amount of time. That's why I started a thing called Golf with Ryan. I started this a few years ago, and it's become like this random consulting thing that I've done over the years that's made hundreds of thousands as like a side hustle. But, basically people pay to go golf with me. Now, basically I didn't used to do one-on-one. And so I was like, well, if you want to do one-on-one, like I golf every Friday. So, come play around with me. I'm going to be golfing anyway. I'll consult you for the 5 hours we're out there between, the round and lunch and whatever else. And sure enough, a lot of people bought it and I made a lot of great relationships and it didn't take any extra time out of my day. So I was, technically working and, making money and consulting and helping people, but I was also still playing golf and doing the thing I wanted to do anyways. So long story short, get creative with how you can multitask your time. Lastly, number 10, relaxing is time well spent. That's the tip. You guys need to relax. Being productive isn't just about doing stuff all the time and every hour is just something. One of my one-on-one students, his name's Daniel, he actually asked me this. He's like, I feel guilty watching Netflix. And I was like, do you watch it a lot or what? And he said, well, I'll watch it at night, maybe for like 30 minutes with my wife and stuff. And I'm like, why do you feel guilty doing that? He's like, I don't know. I just feel like you're always doing something. I was like, bro, no, that's not what my life is like. Okay. Like I'll watch Netflix or something every night for like an hour or two a night, like I'm relaxing. I'm just hanging out. Like my brain is shut off. If I did everything, what I just said, I did the 3-hour rule in the morning. I worked really hard and really efficiently throughout the day. I was hanging out with my kids when I got home. Dude, I need some time to just zone out and chill out. And that is productive time. I've always said this, but Sundays, I'm a believer in the Sabbath as a Christian. I'm a believer not just because I like to go to church and I, would rather not work on Sunday, but I'm a believer because God said to rest on Sunday. If God said to rest, 1 day a week, then clearly there's a reason. God is a lot smarter than me. And so if he thinks that I should rest at least 1 day a week, then I should rest because it's good for me, not because he's trying to make me less productive. It's going to actually make me more productive by resting and having that time. And I'll tell you, a lot of my best ideas and everything else come over the weekend because I'm just chilling. I'm not doing anything. I'm resting. And in turn, that makes me even more productive for, the actual work week. So anyways, rest is good for you. Don't ever forget that. This channel is good for you. Don't forget it. Hit your little notification bell if you want to get notified every time we launch these podcasts and, multitask when you listen to it. All right. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.